Hi, and welcome back to art class. It's good to see everyone. Today we are going to be using our crayons. So hopefully everyone has crayons. If you don't, you can use colored pencils. It'll just take you a lot longer. So let me show you what you need. You need some paper and you need crayons. Hopefully you have red, orange, yellow, and purple crayons. If you don't, just pick whatever you have that's closest to these, okay? You get to decide what those are. Today, we will be working on a drawing with flowers, and we will be using a little bit of the color theory we learned last time. Here is what the drawing will look like that we get finished with today. All right. Those are mostly poppy flowers. They're very stylized. Stylized means it's not realistic looking, but we know what we're looking at. We know those are supposed to be flowers. So that's where we're going to get to today, but we're going to continue this drawing next week. And next week, we will get to, oh, let's see if I can get some light on there. It will look like this when we get done with it. Oop, looks like my camera's still focusing. Hopefully you can see that in any case. So again, today you need crayons and paper. I'm going to turn my doc cam on and you can go get your supplies while I do that, okay? Hit pause and then unpause me when you have all your supplies together. All right, class, do we all have our supplies here? Okay. You know, last week, before we get to that, I just wanted to show you, I know last week I showed you some crayons that I made, and I made a few more, so I thought you might have fun seeing those. These are from some crayons that I had here, my own. This one turned into kind of a muddy mess. And this one I thought was really fun because I could use it to color with one big crayon, but I could get all the colors. Unfortunately, when I tried it with this one was too thin. And when I tried it with this one, you can see there's like a bunch of air pockets in there because I wasn't careful enough with how I put the crayons in the mold. So it's actually pretty brittle, and that means it breaks easily if I push on it. I assume that this one's the same and that this one's the same, but I'm still going to use them. If they crack apart, I'll just use the bits because no such thing as broken crayon. All right, so let's get down to our drawing today. I have my color wheel over here just so we can look at it and see that the colors that we're using today are yellow, orange, red, and then violet. And that they're all on one half of the color wheel. Just as a reminder, because purple or violet and yellow, because they're on opposite sides, if we try to put them together next to each other and blend them together, they will make a mess. So just a little reminder. Here we go. So take your, let's start with our violet. Now my paper is roughly a square. It's a little taller than a square, but if you have just a normal sheet of paper, don't worry about it too much. Just draw in the center. And at the end, we can just trim your paper down so that it looks good. All right, in the center, draw a circle about the size of a nickel or a quarter. Now inside of that, draw 3 little circles. And then color in the area outside the circles. All right. Now, we're going to draw this wavy line here around. So just kind of a wiggly line, just a little bit outside of it. It's not supposed to look perfect. This is a very stylized drawing. All right, so now we're going to make some of these big petals around it. How are we going to do that? Well, I'm going to think about how far I want the edge of my petals to be. All right, probably about here. All right, and I just made myself some little reminder dots. So Now I'm going to make them. I'm going to make 4 kind of and a half petals. Here's the key. Notice how these are, for the most part, not touching each other, right? Except here, there's a little bit, but make sure you notice the gap is my only point here. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to leave a little bit of a space. Now, I draw fairly quickly. Part of that is just I've been doing it a long time. And part of it is, oops, now I have to add this one in. Part of it is because I want you to draw quickly. If we just sit here and we very carefully draw every line really precisely, very slowly, all we're going to do is draw a precise line. We're never going to get anywhere and get some art done. So now that we've done that, please pick up your yellow. All right, make sure you know where your purple is so it doesn't roll away, or your violet. Now we're going to make this shape up here. Now, what shape is it? Well, it's most of a circle. We don't see all of the circle, but we know that's supposed to be a circle. So I'm going to look at where I'm going to start it. I'm going to start it right about the middle, top middle of this flower. Okay, I'm going to make myself a reminder mark. Then I'm going to have it come here. Okay? So now I'm going to think about where that circle would be if I drew the whole thing, right? Where would it be? It'd be right about here. So I'm going to imagine the rest of that circle while I draw the lines. Okay. Oh, I drew that a little bit big, didn't I? It's all right. I'll just pretend it didn't happen. Just to clarify my lines here, because I kind of made a mess, I'm going to go like this. So then take your yellow and just kind of fill space inside of here. Doesn't have to all be perfectly covered. We're just suggesting that it's covered. Once you do that, take your crayon and we're going to make some swirls so it looks like the center of the flower is there. Just kind of make some swirls so it looks more. You see what I did there? Okay, set down your yellow. Please pick up your orange. Wherever the middle of that circle would be, draw a little circle or an oval and fill it in with the orange. Okay. Now see these lines here? We're going to call them spokes, like spokes on a bike. These do not go straight out to the edge. They curve a little bit. So I'm going to go curve, curve, curve. Okay. Now notice I'm copying my own drawing, and even my own drawing, it's not an exact copy of it. So just to remind you that I know yours isn't going to look just like mine, and I don't expect it to or want it to. Now that I've done that, I'm going to move over, and I think I'm going to do this flower right here. Okay, so I'm going to grab my red, actually. Oh, nope, my mistake. I'm going to take my yellow. And see this kind of little wavy spot inside here? That's kind of like this wavy spot. I am just going to draw that wavy line here. All right, and I'm going to leave a section in the middle open, but I'm going to fill in the rest of that area. Do you know why I left that section open in the middle? So that I wouldn't have yellow down already where I'm going to put purple, because if I put purple or violet on top of yellow, it will make a brownish mess. And we don't want that. We want bright colors. Now I'm going to pick up my orange, and I'm going to think about where these petals are. And you see I have like 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I'm not going to fit that all in here because I made that one too big, but that's okay. I'm just going to pretend it's behind it. So wherever the petals kind of fit for you, put them there. Then I'm going to take my orange and lightly not lightly, moderately hard. Color in kind of the center of the flowers. This flower petal, sorry, these flower petals. See how I did that? Now I'm going to take my red and I'm going to outline those flower petals where they are. Now remember, yours are probably hidden by this flower, so we're not going to go all the way. We're just going to imagine those behind that flower. All right? Now that I've done that, I'm going to shade in this area that's still white here a little bit. All right. Now let's see, where should I go next? I think I'm going to do this poppy. It's kind of shaped like this right now. It's like a cone. We're just kind of peeking into the edge of it. So I'm going to start that one with my orange. All right. We're going to start by drawing an oval here. Actually, most of an oval. You can decide if it goes in front or behind your other flowers. That's your choice. All right. Now to draw the cone shape, I'm imagining here it's behind this flower. Oops. I'm going to pick up my yellow. And I'm going to fill in this area up here lightly. I'm going to fill in this area here. All right. I'm just kind of blocking in the flowers right now. That's what I call it right now when I figure out where they're going to go, how much space they're going to take up. You can see I've already run out of room here. That's all right. That happens. If you have space and you want to continue your flower down a bit, that is fine too. You do not need to stop your flowers just because I ran out of paper. So if you've got space and you want to finish drawing that flower there, you certainly can. Let's see what's next. What's next? I think I'm going to draw this one up here. All right. Well, I don't have a lot of space, but you probably have more space than I do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to think about where I want this edge to be here. I think it would be right about there. So I'm going to kind of draw that in. Notice how it kind of comes in a little bit towards the top. And then I'm going to have some wavy lines in my yellow, okay? Yeah, that works. If you have space, you can draw this part, the stem, okay? You just use your yellow for that for now. Then I'm going to put this one in, and I'm going to start by drawing this shape, all right? It's kind of like a line at the bottom and then V lines up. So I'm going to think about where I want those to be. And then I would normally draw that one, but I ran out of space. So you can draw that if you have space, but I can draw this one back here. All right, now I'm going to pick up my violet again and way down over here. See how there's that little circle with the 3 dots like there is here? That's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to put 3 little dots and then a circle. Then I'm going to color in that space in the circle. Then I'm going to pick up my red. I'm going to do petals here like I did up here. Okay? You get to decide how big they are. And if you have more space, you get to decide where you're going. Now, because I'm doing red over yellow, I can cover up a little bit of this one if I want to. That was actually an accident. I didn't mean to. That's okay. It'll look all right. You can see that I have run out of space for this flower. So I'm just going to kind of put it in behind in orange lightly, where it would be if I had space for it. So it's still there. It's just kind of hidden behind. You can leave it out if you want to, or you can fill that in with flower leaves later. Now, I have, well, normally there'd be 2 other flowers, but I ran out of space for this one. So if you've got space, you can add that little line there. It would be a flower that would normally look like that one, okay? That would be the top edge line there. And then that little dial shape would be right here. Don't worry about it if that was confusing. Now I'm going to do this shape over here though, because that's going to help fill in that corner nicely. So I'm going to take my violet and I'm going to have that go right there. And even though I can't see the middle of the flower, I'm going to put in some of those swirly lines. All right, so now we have our spaces blocked out a little bit. So now that we've done that, I'm going to go back and I'm going to take my violet and I'm going to put in some of these lines here. But I'm going to do that after I lightly shade in those petals with red. So I'm just going to lightly shade in those. Right? Now when I put in these lines, I'm going to put in one that's skinny. So I'm not going to press real hard. Then I'm going to put in one that I'm going to press harder. And that's going to be a wider line because I pressed harder. Then I'm going to do a skinny one. Then a harder one. All right. That's going to give us some variation. And I'm just doing wavy lines. And when we have variation like that, it helps stuff look real. Because nothing is, perfect. There's always a little bit of difference. Actually, I shouldn't say it that way. I should say there's always a bit of difference, and that is what we want. Now, I'm just going to outline this ever so slightly with purple or violet. All right. One other thing we're going to do today, and we'll leave the rest for next week. I'm going to take my orange here, and I'm going to put lines in between my yellow lines. I'm going to put orange in between there. I'm going to color the inside of this in orange. Now I've got a little space here, so I'm going to take my yellow and just fill that all in. I'm going to blend it a little bit because orange is next to yellow on the color wheel. It's all right if I just color over all of it. It's not going to make a mess. All right, so that's where we got to today. We will finish the rest next week. I hope you had fun in art class.